Okay, so in this tutorial, we're going to talk a little bit more about silk screening and pre-press, and particularly we're going to talk about graphics and line thickness. And so when you are creating something for silk screening and you're using lines, so we'll just use the line tool here for a second. And we're going to set that stroke to, we'll just set it to dark blue. And so now we have a blue line here. Or if I'm dealing with, say, a shape, I'll create us a layer here, and I'm going to just draw us a box. Like so. And so that's a box, and it's got a stroke around it, but that stroke is really too thin. So you have to, when you're dealing with strokes or lines, their thickness has to be at least 2 points in thickness, so they're bold enough to register when you are printing your file out for silk screening. So bold will hold, and as the saying goes. And so lines and strokes should always be at least 2 points in thickness. And building on that bold will hold kind of concept is that when you're creating graphics, same concept is that you can't have really tiny details and stuff like that. It's got to be bold enough that it can push, the paint can push through a fine mesh silk so that it doesn't close up. So like right here in this area where I have that stroke behind the tail, that would close up because it's not bold enough. And so they would either let that close up, or they would adjust your design and scooch that frame over so it goes behind it, and then they don't have to worry about it closing up at this point. And so we'll take this, we'll thicken this up a little bit, so that, yeah, they would keep adjusting these things so that it doesn't, conflict with the design, but also it doesn't create these really awkward kind of negative shapes that are going to close up, like it would close up here a little bit too. So they may push it even farther, or ask you to push it farther so that the details don't close up. So keep in mind when you're dealing with strokes and when you're dealing with graphics, that your graphics can't have a whole lot of details into them, and your graphics have to not create these kind of awkward spaces so that the ink closes up when it goes through. So you want to make sure you're just avoiding these kind of fine sort of details and in your graphics, and in your strokes, that your strokes aren't too thin. But that's pretty much primarily with most printing, but definitely when you're dealing with silk screening and pre-press with silk screening.